Hey y'all, thank you for joining me today on episode 2 of What's Wrong with My Machine. Today we're going to be going over broken needle threaders, which is a big one. I replace a ton every week. It's a wear and tear item. It's very fragile. There's some things you can do to prevent it. I'm going to talk about what can cause it, what it can look like, some things you can do to fix it at home. But yeah, we'll get right into it. The symptoms of a broken needle threader are pretty straightforward. Your needle threader doesn't thread the needle. So first thing you're going to want to do that I'll always do myself with one, and I'll tell you on the phone, change your needle. Put a fresh 80-12 or larger needle in. The reason I say 80-12 is because anything smaller than that, 75-11, 70, 60, going down, as you get smaller with needles, the eye gets smaller too. And the thing with that is the needle threader itself has a tiny little wire in here that I'm going to show you later, and that's what actually goes through the eye of the needle. It is small and it's just big enough to get inside the 75-11 needle. If that needle's been used a little bit, gotten warped, this is going to break because it has nothing to do. It's going to either bend or break, which is going to put you in a situation where you don't have your threader. So generally what I'm going to say is, if you're going to use a 75-11 or smaller needle, just thread it by hand. It's going to be a lot easier on your threader. That's not to say that you can't damage your threader with an 80-12 or even a 90-14 if you run the needle hard enough without replacing it. Biggest thing you can do to preserve your needle threader, replace your needles regularly. It's hard to say what kind of schedule you should be changing them on. It depends on what you're doing. If you're sewing a bunch of quilts or if you're embroidering on leather, everything's gonna be different. You're just gonna have to kind of get your own thing going and keep a mental check. Some people even write down when they changed their last needle and how many stitches they had and what they were stitching on. If you want to do it that way, your needle threader will probably run a long time. Not saying there can't be freak accidents, but you got to keep check on those needles. If you do get to the point where your needle threader has stopped working, you change the needle, 80-12, 90-14, it's not working, what I would recommend trying, and try and focus on this, this is a size 110 needle. It doesn't matter what kind. This is a leather. Usually it's harder to find, like universals and other ones this large, but the 110 needle has a really big eye on it, and sometimes it's a large enough eye that this threader wire that's bent can get in there and kind of bend itself back on the way in or the way out. Really don't know how it works. It just works sometimes. So it's not a bad idea to keep on hand, like at least one pack of 110 size needles. You may never use them and never have to buy them again, but it's nice to keep on hand for this particular purpose. So let's say it does work. You put your 110 in, you thread everything, you operate your threader, it works. Cool. You don't want to just jump down to a 75-11 because now you're probably going to be right back in the same situation. Get like a 100 size needle. Run that. If that works, awesome. We're still doing good. Then go to 90-14. Run it. If it's working, awesome. 80-12, same thing happens, awesome. That's best case scenario. If that did happen, you probably just had a slight bend on your threader, which is what we hope for. You're still going to want to get that in when you have some downtime that you can be without your machine, so I can get a new threader on there for you, because it's going to fail you at some point. This wire can only bend so much before it breaks. So if you've bent it once, probably not going to bend again without breaking. If that doesn't work, unfortunately, you're going to have to be sitting there at home threaded by hand. If you got a long multicolor design, sorry. You have to try and make do until you can get it in, and your dealer or I can get it fixed for you. Alright, let's see if this camera is going to focus for us. This is a threader for a multi-needle machine, like a 6 needle or a 10 needle, because this does work for whatever machine you have. If you see that little tiny wire kind of in the middle, right there, that guy, that's the actual part that goes through your eye. This goes on the machine like this, and it favors that right side a lot. On typical machines, if you have like a Baby Lock Destiny or something like that, this is what your threader looks like. This one is brand new. that's why it looks perfect. It's perfectly straight. This one, on your machines like this, it still favors that right side a little bit, but if you can see this one, it's got that little curve to it. That's because this one's broken. And that is just a slight curve. It's a little more aggressive now that I can see in the camera. But sometimes when you're using those bigger needles like these, this is what can straighten them out to kind of baby it through the next step. Let's see, I have another one over here. It's hard to see on the camera, but if you can remember where that other one was, now you can kind of see that it's completely bent the other way. This is when a threader is just done. Nothing you can do. You couldn't even bend this one back, or you're just gonna be right back in the same boat. Sometimes if you're looking at the machine, if you have really good eyes or awesome glasses, you might can see that, so you can have a little bit of information before you start doing any of these procedures to see if you're wasting your time or not. But yeah, one like this one, no hope for that guy. Well, I hope if you're sitting at home with a needle threader that's not working, that helped you a little bit. You know, if not, bring it on in. I can take care of you that way. If you have any questions or anything like that, shoot me an email or give me a call, and we'll see you on the next one.